Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Rebel and Ruckus, and Straight Ridiculous proudly bring to you the man on the mic. I'm JD Rebel, and this is Wrestling with JD. So here's a few things I want to talk about tonight. Wrestling fans, who do you want to see in AEW, All Elite Wrestling? I've got about a handful of guys I want to talk about that I'd like to see go there. I'd like to get some responses from y'all in the comments, if you will. So here we go. Wade Barrett, also known as Stu Bennett. He had some time in WWE. As of right now, he is in the world of sport wrestling as a commentator and an executive. In WWE, I thought he was a great heel. They didn't really push him to the moon and back, but they should have, because I think it would have benefited his career and benefited the company. And I just find him to be a great talent, and I think that AEW could utilize him a lot better than WWE did. PJ Black, formerly known as Justin Gabriel, he's on the independent scene right now in Ring of Honor and also in Lucha Underground. He is a high flyer, and I think that he would complement the other luchadors and cruiserweights in All Elite Wrestling. Not so good on the mic, but you don't have to have great mic skills to be a great wrestler. Sometimes you just need a mouthpiece like Paul Heyman. Jack Hager, formerly known as Jack Swagger. He's spending some time on the Bellator scene, doing some MMA. He is a former world heavyweight champion for WWE, and I think that his athletic ability is just phenomenal. I think he's good on the mic. He's not great on the mic, but that's okay. I think that AEW could benefit from having him. WWE just did not utilize them properly, which is on Vince. But I think the AEW would be a good fit for him. LA Park, the son of La Parka. La Parka was in WCW, the chairman. He was always coming to the ring with the chair, and he was just a great talent to have. And LA Park really is following in the footsteps of his father, La Parka. And I think the AEW would also be glad to have him. I mean, they already have MJF, and LA Park has been in MLW, which is the company that MJF came from. Randy Orton. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, he's had his time in the business. Yes, he has had his time in the business. Had several World Heavyweight Championship reigns, WWE Championship reigns, Tag Title reigns, Intercontinental Championship. No doubt a future Hall of Famer. His contract is up next year, and I think it would benefit probably AEW more than it would Randy Orton, but to have a talent like him pushing younger talent. Now, if he's not like Hulk Hogan in the way of, well, I'm not going to push over younger talent, brother, maybe he can push his ego aside and push younger talent. And I think that in that aspect, he would be good for business and good for AEW. Jinder Mahal. There's another one that a lot of you wrestling fans are going to say, please don't, not Jinder Mahal. Well, I watched him in World Class Revolution Pro Wrestling and Shawnee, Oklahoma. And the way he just held himself together on the mic, held himself together in the match, he has great athletic ability. He has great mic skills, and WWE just doesn't know how to utilize them properly like other wrestlers. And it eats at me when WWE just has somebody so incredibly talented and they just go, well, we're not going to do anything with him. So those are the few guys that I would like to see in AEW we'll see what happens. Right now, I would like to promote World Class Revolution Pro Wrestling. That's the company that was in Shawnee, Oklahoma that night that I got to see Jinder Mahal. They also have appearances by Chavo Guerrero, Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, Kevin Nash, MVP. But they also have amazing talent in Fuego del Sol, Diaticus, Magnificent Malico, and those guys are going to be the future of the wrestling business because they're phenomenal. I love watching their in-ring talent. It's just I can't go on about those guys. If you look them up on YouTube, you'll find some of their matches. Look them up on Facebook. I think you'll be happy with those guys and what they can do. Those guys are absolutely the future of the business. So some things that I think WWE needs and things that they don't need. 3-man commentary, they don't need it. They don't need guys like Byron Saxton and Phillips. They don't bring anything to the table at all. Corey Graves is phenomenal on commentary. I really enjoy his commentary. I don't think he's the next Jim Ross by any means. Jim Ross is absolutely the greatest commentator of all time, bar none. But I think that Corey Graves is certainly the future of the commentary for WWE. One thing that WWE doesn't need is Michael Cole. They can get rid of him. They don't need Byron. They don't need Phillips. They don't need Cole. They can get rid of those guys and still thrive in the commentary booth. We're never going to see Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan type guys ever again. We're not going to get that Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross feel ever again. Jim Ross is going to be doing some commentating for All Elite Wrestling. I'm going to enjoy that. We've already seen a couple of pay-per-views from them, and they have such stride already, and they're going to be doing great things, and I'm really excited. I'm proud of them. The talent there. Cody's done, and the Young Bucks, they've just done such an incredible job already in promoting their brand. Dimming the lights on the audience. Now, they don't need to be doing that anymore because they need to be bringing in those bright lights to show the audience, the viewers, when you're watching TV and you're watching WWE Raw on Monday nights or you're watching SmackDown Live on Tuesday nights, you want to see who's all in the crowd. You know, back in the day, if you were a fan of WCW in the 80s and 90s like I was, they always had those bright lights shining on the crowd. I love that. They would always, spin the cameras around, show everybody in the crowd the bright lights. Bring that back, WWE, because having all those dark lights on all the people there in the audience, it's not good for business. You want to show the reactions from people when your show starts during the matches. I mean, you want to have the cameras on the guys, but the lights brings the audience kind of to life. Video packages at the pay-per-view events like WrestleMania, SummerSlam. WWE needs to bring that back because back in the day, when I wasn't such a casual fan, they always had such good video packages leading up to WrestleMania, leading up to SummerSlam, leading up to Survivor Series, King of the Ring. Those are great pay-per-views, but they had such phenomenal video packages put together from the production team that they were able to show the story of how all these rivalries came together. And I just think that having those video packages makes it more special. More part-time guys, like more Universal Championship contenders that are part-time, in my opinion, could be a good idea. A lot of people might think that that's a bad idea. This Brock Lesnar thing that we've had going on for such a while now, with him just coming in certain times. I've been watching wrestling a long time. And back in the day, Andre the Giant was a special attraction. They would have him come in at certain times and not always have him there every night. That's what they're doing with Brock Lesnar. It's no different. And Brock has that effect. Not as big as Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant was so special. And he made things so much better because he had that effect. He could bring you in with his words, bring you in with his matches. He was just a big match guy. Brock Lesnar is a big match guy. He doesn't have that appeal that Andre the Giant does, but he has Paul Heyman to back him up. Bobby Heenan was the mouthpiece for Andre the Giant for a while, and he pulled that rivalry with Hogan and Andre all the way through. He made more money than probably those two guys that wrestled. I remember hearing this in a documentary that he made the biggest payday in wrestling history for that Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan feud. We need more part-timers like Brock Lesnar. That's just my opinion. I think that having somebody like Randy Orton, like I was just discussing, if he didn't go to AEW, and he probably won't, I don't think he will. But if he did retire, who's to say he comes back and as a part-timer wins the Universal Championship from Seth Rollins or somebody else and carries it around and only shows up at certain times. What's wrong with that? I see nothing wrong with that at all. And I think it would be good. Having one world champ, not having the Universal title at all, I think would be a better idea than having the WWE champion and the Universal champion. I just think that having one championship for your world champ is enough. You don't need to have two champions representing one representing Raw, one representing SmackDown. Back in the day, they had the WWE World Heavyweight Champion holding two belts. Triple H, he had the World Heavyweight Championship, and he had the WWE Championship, and he represented both Raw and SmackDown. And I think they need to go back to that formula because back then it actually worked. We don't need to have two separate brands having multiple pay-per-views. We can just do the cross-branded pay-per-views, and it would be good enough with just one world champion, the WWE champion. They could do away with the Universal Championship completely, and I think people would be happy with that. Competition. WWE needs competition, and I know some folks out there think that AEW is no competition for WWE, but in the long run, it's going to be. And, maybe not right away be competition for WWE, but it's inevitable. WWE is just a sinking ship because they're not thriving like they used to. And it's sad because I'm such a hardcore wrestling fan, and I want to see AEW and WWE thrive. Having competition is good for business. Look what it did when WCW was still around. WCW was that competition, and Vince McMahon had to grab his competition by the throat and squeeze the life out of it. But yeah, competition is great for business, and having AEW around is going to be such a great time for wrestling fans. I think their first show on TNT is going to be in October. I know they're going to crown their first women's champion that night. The night before, at All Out, it will be Chris Jericho versus Hangman Adam Page for AEW's first World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm not going to say who I think is going to win that match. I want the fans to give me their input. I want you to tell me who you think is going to win, who you would like to win, who's going to carry that company, who's going to be their first champion. Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman. This is something I think WWE needs to stick with. Right now, they got Paul Heyman. I can't remember which one's working SmackDown and which one's working Raw, but they're the in control right now of both brands. Uh, and I think that having them around is definitely good for business because both of them have such amazing creative minds. The TV PG era, they don't need that. That needs to end, like right now. Uh, Having the TV PG rating is really doing nothing for WWE. It probably won't do any good for AEW in the long run. Having edgy content like the Attitude Era had is good. Not necessarily bringing back the Attitude Era. We don't need to bring back the Attitude Era because the Attitude Era was special on its own. Leave it alone. We don't need to bring back the Attitude Era, but having a TV 14 rating would be better than TV PG because it allows your talent to be able to be themselves and have their own promotions, in the ring, having backstage segments. They can do all that. They have incredible talent to go out there and go, hey, this is my show. This is what I'm going to do. The celebrity wing in the Hall of Fame, the WWE doesn't need that crap. It's so stupid. I don't know why they do it. They have Snoop Dogg and Kid Rock in their fucking Hall of Fame. And Donald Trump. And I don't care that they have, that's just another topic that I would rather not talk about. So the celebrity wing in the Hall of Fame, it's just ridiculous. It sometimes it doesn't overshadow in any way the other Hall of Fame inductees whatsoever. I don't care if you're Donald Trump or Barack Obama. You're not going to be bigger than any WWE superstar or wrestler just because of your political affiliation. That's all I have to say about that. But having guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger in there, that's one thing. Guys like Batista, Triple H, Hogan, they worked out with Arnold Schwarzenegger. They wouldn't be, there might not be, the guys they are right now without Arnold Schwarzenegger because he busted his ass off with those guys, training with them. Even Bruno Sammartino worked out with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's just having somebody like that in the Hall of Fame. It's not such a big deal, but WWE doesn't need it. They don't need it. All right, so I'm going to go and promote somebody else right now, a good buddy of mine, more like a brother, because he's done a lot for me. His name's Deejay Circuit. He's out of Okmulgee, Oklahoma. It's my hometown too, or my current residence. My hometown is Liberty, Maryland. Deejay Circuit, he DJs at the clubs. He does weddings. He does events. He has his own YouTube channel. He's got his own website for his apparel, which is straightridiculous.apparel.co. And he has great products, stuff out there. He's also on Instagram and Holliness, if you know what that is. So give him a shout. Book him for your events. Maybe you got a wedding coming up, or maybe you own a club here in Tulsa, or even in another state. Heck, he'll travel. So just give him a holler if you need a good DJ because he's one of the best. All right. And for my next topic, who needs to be in the Hall of Fame? The need to be's. First one I want to talk about is Bam Bam Bigelow. What a phenomenal athlete. For his size, his agility was amazing. The way he was able to just move himself around the ring, his prowess, the way he was able to fly off the top turnbuckle. When you get a 400-plus guy flying his ass off the top turnbuckle and landing on you, that's going to take the wind out of you. I think that him being in the Hall of Fame is where he belongs. Rey Mysterio. The one thing I didn't really agree with that happened in his career was being the world heavyweight champion. They made him out to be a charity case when Eddie Guerrero passed away. May he rest in peace, because Eddie Guerrero was one of the greatest of all time, and he stays in the hearts of us fans and us hardcore wrestling fans. We just bleed for this kind of stuff. And Rey Mysterio uh, is one of those guys that really captivates the audience. He connects with the audience, and he's just such an amazing athlete. I have the utmost respect and admiration for Rey Mysterio, and he's a definite future Hall of Famer. Chavo Guerrero, dude's been through a lot. He's lost good friends in this company. So did Rey Mysterio, Chris Benoit, and Eddie Guerrero passing away. Really affected these guys. And Chavo Guerrero, um, his abilities are almost incomparable. He's an amazing, not just in the ring, he's an amazing competitor in the ring, but he's also a good guy in real life. He's been doing some wrestling with World Class Revolution Pro Wrestling, like I mentioned before, but his career has just spanned over decades. Wrestling with WCW, wrestling overseas, WWE. He wrestled for Lucha Underground, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's just a really classy guy. Billy Kidman, another cruiserweight who's really captivated and connected with the audience over his career, and I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's just an amazing athlete. The way he was able to come off that top turnbuckle, 7-year itch was his finishing move, and I love watching him come off the top turnbuckle. It was just amazing watching him fly around. The Big Show. Here's the elephant in the room. For his size, he's actually gotten around in that ring pretty damn well. You know, for someone who's 7 foot tall, 500 pounds, the world's largest athlete, you know, he has choke slammed his way to the Hall of Fame. He might not be there now, but he's going to be. He's an absolute surefire Hall of Fame. And he's had his ups and downs in the business, just like everybody else, especially with the creative writing team in WWE. What they've done with him it's just been a shitstorm. And I don't think anybody's really appreciated what the WWE's done with his career. They could have done a lot more. But the Big Show is definitely somebody I'd like to see in the Hall of Fame. Now, this is more of the elephant in the room. If you watched Mark Henry's Hall of Fame induction speech, he mentioned Owen Hart. And every wrestling, I'll take my hat off for this. For every wrestling fan out there who's ever watched WWE, WCW, Lucha Underground, MLW, it doesn't matter what company you've really stood behind. If you're a wrestling fan, you've heard the name Owen Hart. You've got on the network, or you've been on YouTube looking up his matches. If you're not my age and you didn't grow up with him, but I grew up watching Owen Hart, and I've heard stories about him. Watching the WWE Hall of Fame speeches and watching guys just talk about how amazing of a guy he was and how funny he was. Everybody loved him. There wasn't a single guy in any documentary or any interview that I've ever watched say anything bad about Owen Hart, because Owen Hart was just an amazing person. And he was an amazing guy in the business. And the way he was able to captivate and connect with the audience. I always thought it was weird that he had the same signature move as his brother, the sharpshooter. But the King of Hearts, the soul surviving heart, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and all of you know it. The British Bulldog. I absolutely grew up a huge British Bulldog fan. Loved him, and for him not to be in the Hall of Fame is a damn shame. Same for Owen Hart. I love both those guys. Nobody's better. And British Bulldog deserves to be in the Hall of Fame along with Owen Hart. It's just something that deserves to happen. You can't be without Owen Hart and the British Bulldog in the Hall of Fame. The Rock. The Rock needs to be in the Hall of Fame. It may happen this next year, along with Bam Bam Bigelow. I've heard, they may just be rumors, but The Rock definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. When they first introduced it to WWE, I guess it was maybe 2002 at SummerSlam. It was around that time that he was a World Heavyweight Champion. And I just know that he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But he's had such an amazing career. There's no reason for him not to be there. And I think he'll be there soon. Everybody's enjoyed watching The Rock grow up. And like I said with Owen Hart, if you've ever been a wrestling fan, no matter what promotion you've supported, WWE, ECW, Impact Wrestling, the Ring of Honor, AEW, it doesn't matter. You know who The Rock is. The most electrifying man in sports entertainment today. Ah, if you smell what The Rock is cooking, you know who The Rock is. If you don't know who The Rock is, look him up. He's on YouTube. He's on the WWE Network. He makes 10 movies a year. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and he deserves to be there. Kane. He's like the governor of Kentucky or the mayor of some city in Kentucky. I don't really follow his political career any more than I do Donald Trump. But I think that Kane absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, along with his brother, The Undertaker, for the same reasons that they have just carried the company on their shoulders when nobody else could. In the last, decade, at least. And nothing against John Cena. He's a great guy. I've never been a big John Cena fan, for the simple reasons that I think that they could have pushed anybody to be their top guy, and they chose John Cena. But Kane and The Undertaker absolutely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And anybody that's ever watched a segment with The Undertaker knows he's never been the greatest talker, but he's good with intimidation and that mystique that he carries with him in his interviews and his segments have really made his character. And the way he moves in the ring, it just shows, and especially still wrestling today, it just shows that these guys, they put their bodies on the line constantly for your entertainment, and they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely do. The last promotion I'm going to do right before I go to our last little topic, Deejay Crisco, good buddy of mine, also like a brother to me. He's based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. He does live events. He DJs at the clubs. He does weddings. I hear he's also an ordained minister. So if you want to get married, go to Chris Hall. He's Deejay Crisco. And this coming August 17th from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m., he's going to be at PJ's Pub and Grill at 101st and Mingo in Tulsa. If you want to go see him perform, he's pretty amazing, DJ, and an amazing guy. So go see him do his thing, and I promise you won't be let down. So the last thing I want to talk about tonight, how does Vince McMahon get Roman Reigns over? Somebody had asked me this tonight, and I wanted to make this part of the show for the simple fact that this is what I think, and I've thought this for the longest time because Roman Reigns just sucks. I just absolutely can't stand Roman Reigns. But back in his FCW days, the Florida Championship Wrestling, he was a heel then, and part of the time he was in the Shield, he had this little flame as a heel, and as much as it didn't last long because now he's a babyface. I think if they would keep him as a heel and just have him just be this savage beast that just comes out and just with the chair, anybody and everybody, taking everybody out. That's all he has to do. If you want to get somebody over, make them a monster heel. I mean, Andre did it. It wasn't with chairs. It was with his size, his intimidation factor. Chris Benoit. I know that's also another elephant in the room, but I'm not going to talk about Chris Benoit, the person. I'm going to talk about Chris Benoit, the wrestler, the athlete, the technician. He was just amazing in the ring, and he had such intensity. If they gave that and just said, Roman Reigns, we want you to take this, instill it into your character, he would get over. Just this rabid, absolute, intense human being that just gets over with the fans with his weapon of choice, maybe, like Triple H has with the sledgehammer. All he needs to do is just wield his weapon of choice and just go ape shit on everybody, anybody and everybody. And you're going to get Roman Reigns over like that. It's just a simple formula that the WWE has utilized on other guys that they're not doing right now. And I think that if they would take Roman Reigns and make him that monster heel, he would get over. Just as simple as that. And I think that everybody and just about anybody would absolutely love that. And they would love his character. They would get drawn into his character. They would say, I want to watch his promos. I want to see what he has to say next. You know, because when you have a monster heel like, say, Macho Man Randy Savage, when he had his rivalry with Hulk Hogan, leading up to, was it WrestleMania 5? Yeah, WrestleMania 5 is when the Mega Powers imploded or exploded. They had Liz in that factor. Maybe they need to bring in somebody for Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins that they could possibly fight over. You know, sometimes all you need is a mouthpiece, you know, a manager to push you, get you over. Paul Heyman does that with Brock Lesnar, even though Brock Lesnar does it on his own. Paul Heyman is that manager. He's that mouthpiece that's gotten guys over in the past. He was the inspiration that really pushed Stone Cold Steve Austin, because Stone Cold Steve Austin found his character. He found himself in ECW. When he went to ECW, he lit that sumbitch up. And then when he came to WWE, they put him in that ringmaster gimmick, and it was like, what the fuck is this? But he made himself get over. He pushed and pushed and pushed, and just he put his life on the line for everybody. Put his body on the line. That match with Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, where he didn't give up, he just passed out in his own pool of blood, right there in the middle of the ring. And I believe that one was in Chicago. I mean, the man just never gave up. And that's what we need to see from Roman Reigns. This guy that never gives up, never taps out, has so much intensity that he finally gets over with the fans. That's what the WWE needs to do with him, not try to make him the next Stone Cold, not try to make him the next Randy Savage, not try to make him the next Rock, not try to make him the next John Cena. Nobody needs that. We need the next Roman Reigns. We just need Roman Reigns to be Roman Reigns. Go out there, fuck shit up, and just be that intense guy that he knows he can be. When you give it your all, you can do anything. And I'm going to end on that because I want my viewers to hear this one thing before I go. If you can dream it, you can do it. If you can dream it, you can do it. Just be your intense self, and you can go anywhere. The sky's the limit. So if you tuned in tonight to watch this, I appreciate you very much. And I will probably do another podcast here in the next day or so for about a week. Take a break from it. Start over fresh with some new ideas. So thank you very much, and enjoy your night. I'm out.
You're welcome.